Hey, what's up, y'all? It is Carmen Chloe, creator of Single Married Widow, a tribe and safe space for widows who want to grieve, heal, and live after loss. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about what not to say to widows. What not to say to widows. On this journey of widowhood, I've had millions of conversations with other widows, and we share different things that people have said to us along this journey, in the beginning, in the middle, once we're a bit of a ways on this journey. And a lot of us have a lot of commonalities with some of the things that people say to us. Sometimes people may say it out of ignorance. People may say it out of a lack of compassion. People may say things because they're just completely oblivious as to what you should say and what you definitely should not say. So I just want to take this time to do a video to just give you 10 things that you should never ever say to a widow. Number one, let me know if you need anything. In the beginning of the widowhood journey, like in those first moments, hours, and days and weeks even of widowhood, like, you're not in a sane mental space, okay? Your mental space has literally shifted, so you don't even know what you need, okay? That's the time where you really can benefit from people around you who are just compassionate, who can be proactive, who will go and, you know, get food, who will make sure that you and your children are doing fine, you have everything that you need. People who will basically step up and not be asking you, you know, what do you need? Let me know if you need anything. But people who are just being proactive, like, okay, I know you need to eat. I know you need water. You know, I know you may need help with just handling the business of funeral and all that type of stuff. So let me know if you need anything. In the beginning, we don't know our front from our back, our coming from our going. So we don't really know what we need, okay? We need people to just step up and just do things. Number two, God doesn't make any mistakes. I am thankful that only one person has said this to me. That is one of the most ignorant statements that you can say to a widow and to a grieving person altogether. God doesn't make any mistakes. We know that God, in his infinite power and infinite wisdom, does not make any mistakes. However, from a biblical perspective, everything that happens under the sun is not necessarily a part of God's perfect will, okay? When someone dies, when someone's spouse dies prematurely, like, it's not a part of God's will for someone to die prematurely. There may be different reasons as to why things happen, and we're not even going to get into that deep spiritual talk, but don't say God doesn't make any mistakes, okay? Because first of all, we don't know if it was God's perfect will or if God simply allowed for it to happen. So just don't say that, okay? Number three, he's in a better place. How do you know? Number one, like, how do you know he's in a better place? Number two, he ain't here with me and these kids, so I don't want to hear that right now. Like, that's another, he's in a better place. Like, don't say stuff like that. People say things like that, I think, out of, like, I don't know, habit, out of, I don't know, tradition, but it's just so ignorant to me, some of the things that people say. It's like, did you put any thought into what you're about to say, or is this just something that just rolls off your tongue whenever you're in a situation to where you're faced with a grieving person? It's better to not say anything than to say the wrong thing. Number four, I know how you feel. I lost my fill in the blank. I've had several people say this to me. I know how you feel because I lost my blank. I lost my blank. I lost my blank. You really can't compare losses. I don't want to get into the flow of comparing griefs, but like losing a spouse, especially at a young age, it's just a different type of loss. It's a different type of loss, okay? You can't really compare that. Even within the widow community, I have enough respect and enough acknowledgement for another widow's loss to the point to where I have never even told another widow, I know how you feel, because I don't know how they feel. I did not have the same relationship or marriage that they had with their spouse. We were not in the same exact seasons when we lost our husband. So I would never even say that to another widow. So it just baffles me for other people to say that to me when they've not lost a spouse. I know how you feel because I lost my fill in the blank. I've gotten it all. And it just really takes me aback. And it's really like a discounting of the loss to me. And it's really like, I don't know. I can't explain it. Just don't do it. Just don't. Because you don't know how anyone feels. In the beginning of the grief journey, in the beginning of the widowhood journey, like you don't even know how you feel. I didn't even know how I felt. Number 5. If you don't mind me asking, how did he die? I had someone ask me that, like inbox me on Facebook and ask me that. Someone who I was not close to, someone who I may have spoken to a couple of times, like, how did he die? Like, that's none of your business. Why would you ask, how did he die? If anything, ask, do you and your children need something to eat? Do you and your children need anything? But the question that you choose to ask is, how did he die? Why? It ain't none of your business. How dare you ask somebody how their spouse died or how their loved one died when you're not in the same breath asking them, do they need anything? Like that's one of the most disgusting questions to me. People and their nerve like is beyond me. Like, don't ask anybody that, especially not a widow. How did he die? It's none of your business. Number 6. Well, life goes on. You have to keep on living. I know that because I'm still here, but I don't need you to tell me that. Number 7. When are you going to stop wearing your ring? What? When are you going to stop wearing your ring? That's not a question that you want to ask a widow. I don't care if she's 3 months out or 3 years out. You don't ask her, when are you going to stop wearing your ring? When I feel led to stop wearing my ring, when I feel like I want to break that tie or that covenant, then maybe I'll stop wearing my ring. But you don't ask a widow, when are you going to stop wearing your ring? Like, the questions, you guys would be amazed at the questions that I've gotten, the questions that other widows have gotten. It's like people say the most disgusting, the most insensitive, the most just reckless things. And it's like, did you think about that before you let it roll out of your mouth? Or was it just kind of like, well, I don't care if I offend this person. I don't care if I add to their grief and sorrow by saying something boneheaded to make them feel even worse. Number 8, you know you're available to date now. Like, you're single now. You can date. I'll never forget, had just finished laying my husband to rest. We were getting dropped off back at the funeral home, and one of the funeral home workers, older lady, older woman, she took it upon herself to give me some sage advice. She comes up to me. This is like less than an hour after we buried my husband. And she's like, baby, make sure you wait at least 7 or 8 months before you start dating, because, you know, men love to take advantage of widows. What? I was so taken aback, y'all. So taken aback. Like, what? Number 1, like, who are you, woman? Who sent you? Number 2, like, why would you think that you needed to give me dating advice when my husband's body hasn't even been in the ground for a good hour? Number 3, like, I don't need you to tell me when I can date. Like, get out my face. I'm still trying to figure out if this is a dream or not. If I'm in a parallel universe and you trying to give me dating advice on when to start dating after becoming a widow and being careful because men like to take advantage of widows, like, ma'am. I may be widowed and grieving, but I ain't a dummy. Number 9, you know you're gonna have to let him go. You know you're gonna have to let him go. I know that eventually I'm gonna have to release this soul tie, release his spirit, and flow forward in whatever direction God guides me into. But you don't get to determine when I let him go. There's no blueprint or playbook for when I let my late spouse go. Like, how dare you open up your mouth to even speak on such a thing? Number 10, and this is the last one, guys. God needed him more. God needed him more. Yeah, God needed him more than you and your children needed him. That's essentially what you're saying when you tell somebody, oh, God needed him more. Like, y'all got to stop with the bonehead, stupid, cliche religious sayings that come up out of y'all mouth when you're talking to someone who is grieving the loss of a spouse. But those are just 10 of the things that you should totally not say to a widow. I could literally create a book of hundreds of things that I've heard that have been just utterly disrespectful and insensitive, that have come from strangers, that have come from family members, that have come from well-meaning people. But that's just a list of 10 that I decided to put together. So those are 10 things that you should not say to a widow. And I just implore you, if you have a widow in your midst, I implore you to be a bit more sensitive and a bit more conscious about what you let roll off your mouth, your tongue, what you say to a widow. And if you can't think of anything that is comforting or that is peaceful or that is respectful to say, just don't say anything. See you guys on the next video. Peace.